Today I did a video right when the legal tampering period was beginning and the Packers hadn't signed anybody yet. I was super excited, couldn't wait to see what was going to be happening. Were we going to be getting the guys that we were rumored to be going after and getting? There was a whole lot of decent names out there that would have really bolstered the Packers roster. And man, oh man, Brian Gutekunst doesn't disappoint in the fact that he completely throws you off guard as to what you would be logically thinking that would make sense for the team. And then he throws a big wrench into the mix. What do I mean by that? Well, let's start with their first signing. Okay. The first signing came from, Aaron Banks from San Francisco. We address an offensive line guard. He's played left guard his entire career at San Francisco. And immediately I'm like, okay, what on earth is Brian Gutekunst doing with that signing? We really didn't need offensive line help. With the exception, I knew we weren't going to be signing Josh Myers, but man, you could have gotten a veteran center like Ryan Kelly, who signed with the Minnesota Vikings for 2 years, $18 million. 2 years, $18 million, a very good veteran. If we weren't going to do anything else. We needed a center, and you really didn't have to break the bank going and doing that. Instead, we throw a ton of money at Aaron Banks. We way overpaid for this dude, for the upside of what this guy could potentially be. I don't understand it. It was completely like the Packers to go out and get a guy like Aaron Banks, who's 27 years old, coming off of, the 4-year rookie contract. The Packers throw a bunch of money at him, make him the 5th highest paid guard in the NFL. Completely threw me off. And then I'm like, okay, well, we needed an edge rusher. We needed a corner. I'm not quite sure why on earth we went offensive line. It makes sense somewhat, but to throw as much money makes zero sense to me. Okay. So then we go and sign a corner, and immediately I saw Packers sign a corner, and I'm like, this is great. Can't wait to see who it is. Is it Byron Murphy out of Minnesota? I can't wait to see what it is. And then it's Nate Hobbs. And instantly I'm like, okay, there was a couple of teams wanting to trade for this guy a couple of years ago. And, it's one of those guys that can be productive when he's out there, but you haven't quite seen what the potential is because he reached his max his rookie year. Okay. So this dude has pretty much put up exactly the numbers that he did his rookie season year after that, right? He's gotten one interception every year that he's played. His overall PFF score of a 61.4, run defensive grade of a 62.1, his pass rushing grade of a 48.5. I think he averages like a sack a year, which is not bad. His coverage grade of a 61.5. But this is the confusing thing to me, is that Nate Hobbs is a corner slot. Okay, so instantly I'm like, okay, well, we've got Javon Bullard there already. I'm not quite sure. Are we going to be moving him to safety? Keyshawn Nixon really isn't an outside corner. He's a decent fill-in guy if you need him to be, but he's not a starting caliber outside corner. And if we're going to be cutting ties with Jair Alexander, which now the rumors are we're not going to be cutting ties with him, at least via trade, which I didn't anticipate because it would make zero sense for the Packers to move on from him via a trade. It would make complete sense that they cut him after June 1st and save themselves $17.5 million of cap space, as opposed to trading him, getting a 4th or 5th round pick, or maybe a 3rd round pick, and then saving yourselves $5.7 million in cap space. So it makes complete sense that we move on from Jair in the sense of cutting him after June 1st. That's if he can't restructure a deal. Of course, the dude, if he is healthy, is one of the best corners in the league. So did we sign Nate Hobbs because he played outside corner 1 year and wasn't as successful as a slot corner? So do we see the potential there? He certainly has the skill set of what Green Bay is typically looking for to be an outside corner. So does he have what it takes to be an outside corner? And is that how the Packers are going to be utilizing him under Jeff Hafley's defensive schemes? Remains to be seen, because as of right now, it's kind of like this shuffle of like, okay, where do we play Keyshawn? Do we move him back to slot corner? And then do we move Javon Bullard, just more of a safety hybrid, to share time with Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams? And then is Nate Hobbs going to be more that outside corner along with Carrington Valentine / shared responsibilities with Keyshawn Nixon? Remains to be seen. Aaron Banks, I kind of glossed over it, but his overall PFF score was a 65.4. He's more of a run blocker, which is great for Josh Jacobs. 68.9 run block grade, and then a 60.5 pass block grade. He's been decent, but I think the Packers way overpaid, again, making him the fifth highest paid guard in the league for just the potential of what this dude could be. I don't like it. I don't like either of them in the sense of what we paid for them. I don't necessarily not like the signings. It's just what we went out and paid for these guys when we could have, again, gotten a Ryan Kelly for a 2-year, $18 million deal. And then we have our center issues solved and we can keep Jenkins at left guard. Instead, we're going to be moving Jenkins to center, and we're going to be putting Aaron Banks at left guard. And of course, it's going to be between Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan as to play who's playing right guard. And then you've got Rasheed Walker out at left tackle and Zach Tom at right tackle. So the Packers offensive line is going to be quite stout, and they add a lot of beef. This dude is a big boy. So they're going to be doing a lot of pushing up front when you got Aaron Banks and then you've got Jenkins under center. Okay, so here's an article that came out. Packers grossly overpaid for free agents Aaron Banks and Nate Hobbs. And then it just goes down to just report, man, what on earth were the Packers thinking about paying these guys what they did? And then this article goes on and says Packers offensive line plan comes at a steep price as Aaron Banks contract raises questions based on the free agent projections. Okay, so let's take a look at those projections here real quick. So it says right here, NFL Market Match is a new tool that was developed, giving some guys of equal caliber type, and they list like 5 guys there. And with that, he's projected for he would be projected for a 3-year signing at $36 million, which is $12 million yearly average. Then they dive a little bit deeper into it and saying that there's another. So Spot Track says that even more narrow, projecting a 3-year, $29.15 million, which is a $9.7 million average. Either way, the Packers gave Banks much higher average per year, reaching $19.25 million and making him the highest paid offensive line on the roster, surpassing Jenkins at $18 million average. He's at 19.25. I really think the Packers, I'm surprised and I'm shocked. And I know that there's $25 million additional cap space out there for teams to go out. But man, to go ahead and set the market a different trajectory, paying a guy that hasn't been proven right now just for the potential in Aaron Banks, I don't see it. I don't understand. So then I look at some, some other, like CBS put out like some grades as to how, how these teams graded the Detroit Lions. They gave a grade of a B, and I'm going to be talking about, as the week progresses, I'm going to talk about how the Lions fared, how the Minnesota Vikings fared, and how the Chicago Bears fared, who fared the best, and then how the Packers. So this CBS grade gives them a B, which I'm shocked at. And the only thing I can make sense of with that is that the Packers re-signed Brandon McManus, solidifying a kicker there because they take that into account. So here's their key re-signings: Emmanuel Wilson, Isaiah McDuffie, Brandon McManus. So they re-upped Brandon McManus. Isaiah McDuffie, I didn't like that re-upping of him either. So Aaron Banks, did we need to get more stout on the offensive line? Sure, because the 1 week link with Josh Myers, and we knew that he was going to be going. We knew he wasn't going to be re-signed with the Packers, but they could, again, gotten Kelly for much cheaper and then kept Jenkins where he was at. But they bring in Aaron Banks. It is what it is. We're going to see how this translates, how this turns out. I'm trying to be optimistic with this, but I'm also trying to bring a realism to this. Nate Hobbs, I'm curious how that translates out onto the football field. So if they're able to retain Jair Alexander at corner and maybe restructure a deal that's maybe not as sexy for his pocketbook, then maybe this makes a little bit more sense, where you've got Hobbs on one side and then you've got Jair Alexander on the other, and then you filtering in, Javon Bullard and Keyshawn Nixon as your slot corner. Maybe that makes a little bit more sense in my opinion, but I'm not seeing it right now. I'm a little bit disappointed. I want you guys to leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts as to how the Packers fared in your mind and your opinion. I think I would give them an overall grade of a D plus, overall of a D plus. Here's another PFF gave some ratings right here. It says for Nate Hobbs signing, it was a below average signing. It says the Packers will hope to find a rookie version of Nate Hobbs who will earn 2021 earned a 79.2 PFF coverage grade, his best of his career. Again, we talked about that. He had his best career as a rookie. 2024 was the worst of his career, and he allowed a 68.1. The projections for a re-signing was that the Raiders were going to re-up 1 year, $4 million deal. As you can see right there, that was the projection. And then the Packers threw 48 million over 4 years, which is 16 million also guaranteed. So I'm not seeing why the Packers signed Nate Hobbs for so much money. I'm really hoping this translate. Again, leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.